Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine.
Told me more than once to show you my intention. My brain gets blocked at times, but now somehow I'll give you my attention. You've got to know that I ain't a person who understands all the clockwork of a romance.
It's a frank, open, and unbitter cheek on the side of eternity. Omobola Stephen. Welcome to my show, Life Well Lived by Omobola Stephen. How have you been staying safe? You want to share with me? Okay, let me ask, has the sudden change in the world influenced or affected your well-laid priorities? Of course it has. I know so well because I'm going through a shift right now. So help me God. I want to talk about priorities. Oh, how important, you say? I'll be right back.
Make me feel so alive, always there in my mind. But I just don't know,
So, if you want to change the way you look at yourself and what you do by making a decision concerning your priorities, then you may need to consider the following suggestions I want to talk about. Really, it's about setting your priorities. Take back today. Have you ever noticed that the people who have nothing to do usually want to spend the time with you? So, poet Carl Sandburg said, time is the most valuable coin in your life. You alone will determine how the coin will be spent. Be careful what you do. Or be careful that you do not let other people spend it for you. Wise word to say. Now, your greatest possession is the 24 hours you have directly of you. So, how will you spend it? That's my question to you. Will you give in to pressure or focus on your priorities? Will you allow pointless emails on important tasks, telemarketers interruptions, and other distractions to consume your day? Or will you take complete responsibility for how you spend your time, take control of the things you can, and make your today yes? If you don't decide how your day will be spent, someone else will. Did you hear me? If you don't decide how your day will be spent, someone else will do that for you. So, I'm asking you these questions. Listen up. Number one question is, what is required of me? Or you need to ask yourself these questions, I beg your pardon. What is required of me? Any realistic assessment of priorities in any area of life must start with a realistic assessment of what a person must do. For you to be a good spouse or parent, what is required of you? To satisfy your employer, what must you do? When adding priorities, always start with the requirement questions and give it careful thought before moving on to the next question, which is, what gives me the greatest return? As you progress in your career, you begin to discover that some activities yield a much higher return for the effort than others. Anyone who hasn't discovered that isn't progressing in his or her career. That is it. The next place to focus your attention is on those high return activities. The next question you need to ask yourself is, what gives me greatest reward? If you do only what you must do and what is effective, you will be highly productive. Highly productive. But you may not be content. I think it is also important to consider what gives you personal satisfaction. Or what do you think? However, I find that some people want to start with a reward question and go no further than that. No one can be successful really who doesn't possess the discipline to take care of the first two areas before adding the third. So, balance. Stay in your strength zone. Stay in your strength zone. Let's move on. People don't pay for average. People don't go looking for a mediocre restaurant and a Michelin movie when they go out at night. Employers don't award the contract to the salesman known as Mr. Average, not at all. Finding your strength zone may take some time and exploration. I know that. If you don't already have a good handle on your strengths, then you may want to explore some of these. Let's move. Try and error. Nothing teaches you more than your successes and failures. You will agree with me. So you have got to take the risk of failing to find your successes. Interesting. Let's look at personality test. Personality tests will help to clarify some of your natural inclinations and help to reveal some strengths and weaknesses you aren't aware of. Remember, I'm talking about setting your priorities and balancing them. So, we're looking at strengths, staying in your strength zone. In staying in your strength zone, you may want to explore some of these points. I mentioned try and error. The next was personality test. And now we move on to personal experience. You really get a feel for how well you do something by doing it repeatedly. That's how you get a beautiful feel of it. Just remember this. Experience isn't always the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. Wow. I think I need to repeat that. Experience isn't always the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. Nice one. Now, looking at the counsel of others. Asking others to evaluate your effectiveness is not always fun. It's not, but it's always very helpful. Be sure to choose people who don't have an agenda other than to help you. That's important. Now, how do you balance your priorities? I'll be right back.
Somebody ought to come along and let you down, so you could see my side and how it feels to hit the ground. How can you say that nothing's different, that we should pick up the pieces? Somebody ought to come along and let you down.
How do you balance your priorities? To balance your priorities in life, it's not an easy task. I know that. With the prices of today's demanding high-paced world, most people struggle to attain a reasonable balance. We can easily be drawn away from our priorities when one aspect of our life consumes the bulk of our time, so we need to watch out. To a large extent, it is much like walking a tightrope. So, when we drift too much one direction or the other, we become unbalanced. So, the thing is, to sustain what we value most in our lives, we must constantly maintain our equilibrium as we move forward to achieve our purpose and goals. My question is, are you dedicating enough time and energy to the most important aspects of your life? Or do you find yourself focusing on one major areas at the expense of the others? You may need to make a commitment to find the balance in your life. Take a look within. Do you feel consistently stressed, physically exhausted, mentally drained, or emotionally devoid of happiness? Interesting and very important questions to say. Are you dropping the ball with key responsibilities in your personal and professional life? Do you neglect your own well-being for the sake of others? If your answers to all this I said are yes, you may be out of balance. So, make a commitment to walk through these next steps I'll be highlighting. Number 1 is for you to determine your priorities. Set aside time to define what you consider to be the most significant aspects of your life. Do they include such priorities as family, work, friends, self, and community? Which of these consume more of your time, energy, and resources? Which are the most rewarding to you? Overall, how do they add and subtract value to your spiritual, mental, and physical well-being? So, go ahead and focus on creating priorities that are achievable and make the most sense to you. Beautiful. Next, establish and execute an implementation plan for each priority that you cite. You've been blessed with an incredible amount of time and energy. Time and energy. In response, how do you plan to implement your priorities? Beautiful question. So, to develop your plan, establish specific strategies for each priority and tie them to your overall plan to maintain balance. If one priority is to cater for your father with estates to cancel, how can you achieve this goal when you have a demanding work schedule? What specific steps will you take to manage your efforts? So, as you execute your implementation plan, align your actions to your words. Next up is for you to be resolute on your values. Resolute. One of the ways to be happy is to realize that you own your life. Own your life. And that no one can undermine this truth. Always be prepared to walk away from any situation that will compromise the state of balance in life. That's very important. That means you may need to start over again. I don't care. You need to start over again if it's important and possible. How frustrating that could be if you want to start over again. Some people will say, but it's worth the effort. Consider it a personal virtue when you have the strength and courage to protect what is important to you. Do not relinquish your power to the unreasonable demand of others. So watch out. I love the word of Khalil Gibran. He said, anxiety does not come thinking about the future but from wanting to control it. So when we don't set priorities, we follow the list of past resistance, and that's not good enough. So, Buddha once said, in the end, only three things matter. Three things matter. How much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of the things not meant for you. Wonderful and wise words by Buddha. And that's a wrap up for today's show. Remember that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Omobola Steven, to catch up missed episodes. Perhaps visit my blog site, tomato2life.com. Do you have a really bright day ahead? Stay safe always. Bye for now.
I told you every single time, don't you worry.